Choppy, my PP. Welcome to WhatCulture Wrestling, our Friday news show, the last bit of content you're probably getting this week. We've got the Friday crazies, and we want to go to the pub for your birthday, of all things, even though it's a little bit early. So we have many news stories to get through for you this afternoon, including, I'm going to go first, we've got news on NXT's second week audience, and it is interesting.
Dave Meltzer has been saying things about CM Punk again.
There is some news about a wrestling podcast that you really like, which doesn't feature Adam Wilborn.
A hotly tipped Japanese wrestler could be on their way to NXT.
But first, hashtag good after news, etc, etc, etc. This popped us mad when the Observer came out this afternoon. It's a nice little story, this. Makes for a good headline. Nothing too substantial about it, but still it's fun nonetheless. AEW Dynamite, you like that name?
It's a name.
It's alright, it's alright. I'd say it's
not as explosive as you'd like, but
it could have been a lot worse. Given that we're living in an age of like Great Balls of Fire and Slamville or whatever they called that show the other day.
Oh yeah.
It could have been a lot worse. AEW Dynamite, the name of AEW's weekly show going forward. The origins of it have been revealed in this week's Wrestling Observer, thanks to Dave Meltzer, and I quote,
Well.
regarding the name AEW Dynamite, like the original Tuesday Night Dynamite, in a trivia note, Khan as a kid, that's Tony Khan by the way, the Sugar Man, the ruler of AEW, Khan as a kid used to book pro wrestling television, in his head I presume, and the name Dynamite was the name of his fantasy television show he put together. So that's the actual origination of the name. Tony Khan has called AEW's weekly show Dynamite because when he was a kid, he used to fantasy book his own wrestling show and it was called Dynamite. I love that story.
That is quite something. I mean,
Any young journalists watching at home, that is your bread and butter Friday afternoon. Can we get a video out, headline and story for you right there?
I mean,
I love that.
it's both great and
Go on. Because we all thought, didn't we, when they announced it, it was going to be like, it was sort of like a play on nitro, because obviously nitro comes from nitroglycerin, which is the core chemical component of dynamite. Thus, nitro is an informal term for dynamite. Yes, of course, you get your money's worth when you come to WhatCulture Wrestling. We thought it was all a bit of a play on words of that, but no, just because Tony Khan as a kid used to call his fantasy wrestling show Dynamite. I like that.
it stinks this of. I can. My dreams are something I can.
It's his little toy box, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little toy box, and do you know what it is? Childlike wonder is something we could probably use in wrestling these days. Let's not be critical here. It's quite a nice story, that isn't it? Really.
It makes me wonder. Did he have loads of did he then move this onto the PlayStation and start doing his own promotion on SmackDown and just bring
and
it
building the show and doing all the creative ring.
Did you have a creator wrestler back in the day or something?
I had a creator wrestler. We had one guy. We had 3 friends who we made this one guy, and we all had him on our game.
What was he called?
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Because we deliberately named him Stupid because it was like.
I just want to clarify here. I haven't prepped this at all. No. I didn't tell I was going to ask him this. So I'm genuinely excited to hear this.
Arnold Large. Swear to God, Matty Garrow, if you're watching, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Every one of us, we got together in the summer and built this. It was like, imagine a wrestler who Vince would Arnold after Arnold Schwarzenegger, and large because he's large. And he was massive. And you know when you get the stats and you can make his, how bulky they are, how fat they are. He was absolutely jacked us out. He was massive. Arnold Large, everybody.
I still do him now. Adam Adams. He used to always dress like Chris Jericho, effectively, but now he dresses like Kushida because I like Kushida's ring gear. Moving on.
Incredible. Let us know what your wrestlers were called, by the way. That's something I'd like to see in the comments below. But one wrestler whose name isn't made up, who you all probably know quite well, is CM Punk. The chick magnet.
All names are made up.
The chick magnet himself, of course. Well, he seems to be, despite the fact that he's not wrestling, he seems to be one of the most talked about things in wrestling quite often. And once again, yes, we had a lead in here of, is CM Punk going back to WWE? You'd imagine that would mean maybe CM Punk's made comment, maybe WWE have. But of course, this is the world of wrestling journalism, which means none of those things have happened. And Dave Meltzer has speculated a little bit more, and because we do love our Dave and take his word as gospel, as you all like to tell us in the comments, we've got another lovely quote for you here from the latest Wrestling Observer. He says, the impression from WWE is that they believe he wants back in right now, but right now, it's nothing they are counting on doing, which is a very someone said this to me on the fly kind of quote to make that one. And it comes off the back of, obviously, we've had a bit of a moment where CM Punk was potentially maybe going to be turning up at AEW's show in Chicago, of course, All Out. Big, everybody was speculating about that. It never happened, despite the little video he did for Pro Wrestling Tees, teasing it, and obviously he was there for StarCast and what have you. But Cody did mention, CM Punk said he hadn't really had an offer, it'd been a text. Cody did actually mention in an interview with Collider Live that they had actually made a deal, and I've got what he said, just to back this up a little bit, to say that Dave's not completely without merit, He says, he did kind of make us look like dumbasses, CM Punk. This is Cody talking about Punk. Saying we sent him a text message offer. I'm sure we texted him, but also called him. Someone else also met you in a coffee shop. We made genuine efforts, but in this case, 2019, it's been some time away from the ring. We have to focus on who really wants to be on board.
Never happening, is it?
I think there's a long way to go before it happens for anybody, and I look forward to him turning up next week on AEW television.
The thing is, you always think when you get into these positions, there's a long way for them to go. There's a lot of ground needs to be covered, a lot of T's need to be crossed. Eyes need to be dotted. I can't remember which way around that went. There's all this stuff that have to happen. And then yesterday we literally did John Morrison re-signing out of nowhere. So you never know, do you?
No.
These things just happen sometimes.
I think we're going to get this a lot, I think, in the next few weeks and months, because CM Punk certainly was one of the biggest things in wrestling. A lot of people still love him and still would like to see him come back. It's the war. The war starts next week.
I was going to say it's going to get worse, isn't it?
It's going to get worse. And I just kind of hope it either resolves itself by him officially saying never ever again and that whatever. I kind of like to see him not go back.
I think he deliberately hasn't said that because I think it's
good for him.
Yeah, it's good for his career to keep
film out as well, which probably helps having him in there.
Looks really good. That's out in October. Girl on the Third Floor, I think it's called. Anyway, as one side dips below the other in the ratings, if indeed it does go that way, then there's always going to be speculation that, well, why don't you just get CM Punk in? That fixes that problem.
Bring him in and get the big boost. I don't know what's going to happen, but in the meantime, I'm sure I will hear more from Dave Meltzer very, very soon.
Good link this, because speaking of the Wednesday Night War, speaking of the Wednesday Night War and speaking of ratings, ahead of the Wednesday Night War, NXT's second week ratings are in. Now you may remember they recorded a bank-busting 1.2 pretty much million for the first hour of TV on the USA Network. Obviously then it then went onto the WWE Network, so we don't really get the reports for that. But on television it was 1.2 million just shy of. So we waited 7 figures, man. Yeah. 7 figures was not beyond their wildest dreams, but I think if you'd asked WWE to do what is the ballpark you think you're going to get, lowest case scenario would probably be about 600,000. High is probably 1.2, 1.3. So that's done really, not exceeded expectations, but matched them.
If you gave them 1 million a week, I think they'd be happy.
Well,
it's a good start.
As it stands, this is weirdly getting reported in a few other places as massive NXT audience drop-off, but it is still over 1 million people. The official week 2 NXT results are 1.6,000. So like 1.0, yeah. So 1,006,000 people watched the first hour of NXT on the USA Network, which is still that is a loss of 100,000 people. But episode 1, the pilot episode, the first time, a lot of people giving it a chance out of nowhere, and it's not going to appeal to everybody who's giving it a chance for the first time. To get that many people back, I think is absolutely excellent, in my opinion. Obviously, that might change a lot next week when AEW arrives in a similar time slot. You've got genuine competition then for the same slot, but we'll see.
Here's the question though: is their viewership going to increase as well as more people are floating? Do you know what I mean? Are we going to get double that?
We don't know.
Or are we going to get that half between?
We don't know. They might literally build up this situation where Wednesday night is when everybody wants to watch their wrestling, and thus more people are tuned in to watch wrestling of any description, or it might simply pull people off the broadcast to go watch AEW. We don't know, and we wait with bated breath to see which way that goes. But I will say, if I was running NXT and I did 1.1 or 1.2 almost in week 1, and then just over 1 million in week 2, I'd be happy with that. I would be personally very happy with that.
Considering they started in armories and such, I think they'd be very happy with that indeed. The one thing NXT could do to make sure that they get more views is keep bringing in interesting characters and superstars, maybe even CM Punk, or Johnny Morrison, whoever, whatever you want. But maybe you go somewhere else, because apparently, according to, yes, that's right, Dave Meltzer.
Can you tell the Observer's
Can you tell the Observer?
The Observer?
The Observer, young.
What's called immortal.
Why does that keep happening to me on this?
You keep slipping back into it,
falls back out. Anyway, Dave Meltzer has again been reporting about potentially a signing for NXT. It's believed that hotly tipped Japanese star, and I am going to have to look because I don't want to get it wrong, Jiro Kuroshio, I think. There you go.
Good work.
Who is a massively hot-tipped star in Japan, full of charisma, full of showmanship, a guy who sounds like, on paper, has all the kind of attributes that you'd expect from a WWE superstar, someone who would certainly catch the eye, but we have heard that before. But here's a quote from Meltzer, I will fill you in on that. He says, the strong belief within the industry is that Jiro Kuroshio, I always get that wrong, Kuroshio,
we'll go Kuroshio.
Who is one of the better Japanese wrestlers around, will be coming into NXT shortly. As noted here before, Kuroshio publicly said he would be moving to the US and leaving Japan, and he was part of a recent WWE tryout camp in Shanghai. Now, it should be stated, I won't pretend to be a super well in the know guy about our friend Jiro. I'm just going to call him Jiro from this point onwards, because, let's be honest, we've got so much else to cover. But as far as I can tell from reports, lots of people saying his in-ring ability is the one thing that really sets him, but his charisma is the other. And more specifically, notably, everyone seems to be talking about something new, know a thing or two about, is a fancy jacket that he
I do like a fancy jacket.
He wears this blazer in the ring, and it's, I have to say, a bit like the Sling Blade.
Cleary-esque, and I'm glad you bring that up, because it's a bit of news for anybody who does watch NXT Ups and Downs. Next week I've decided I'm going to push the boat out a little bit. Yeah. Obviously, Chris has been editing.
You've got a boat now, have you?
I haven't, I'm not Phil. Oh. Chris has been editing the videos, and unfortunately, the last 2 weeks I wore a t-shirt, had a little bit of green in it. That messed with the green screen.
Interesting.
This week I wore a t-shirt, forgot that had a little bit of green in it as well, messed with the green screen. So I've decided to get fully NXT attired. So next week I will be premiering my special NXT jacket.
Excellent. Well, that has nothing to do with Jiro Kuroshio, but what it does have to do with is the fact that once again, WWE are bringing in Japanese stars, and the question here will be, is it a good idea, Jiro? Because look at what they've done to Shinsuke Nakamura, Asuka, Kairi Sane, and the list goes on.
I'll tell you what they've done.
Has it got anything to do with NXT Ups and Downs?
No. They've paid them very well and made them household names in the West.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
One way, which they might not have fulfilled them in ring. True. Their career might not be going the way they wanted to go.
I don't think if they didn't want to be there, I'm sure they'd find a way to disappear.
Absolutely, yes. And speaking of disappearing and not being there anymore, and King of the Link, little one this. Any listeners to Edge and Christian's podcast of awesomeness, or the pod of awesomeness, some sad news, because Edge has announced that he's going to be stepping away from that after 2 years, which is a bit sad. Obviously, with Beth Phoenix's schedule becoming more hectic and NXT's change, becoming live weekly on the network, he's now said that he's going to have to go into supporting the family, doing more at home, and little side projects like this, including the podcast, are going to have to take a back seat. Might be back somewhere down the line. He doesn't know. Christian says he might consider doing it on his own in future. But yeah, as yet, he doesn't know. He's going to let people know on that. But Michael Hamflett did make the keen observation that Christian's pod of awesomeness just kind of sounds like a room he used to have in his house, where he would go in and tell himself he was better than Edge.
That's fair.
You are better than Edge.
Yeah. There's some Captain Charisma podcast name out there he could do. I'm sure he could. The one thing I would say is it's going to be really hard to do with podcasts when you return to the ring. If you're Edge, who's definitely looking like he's in what we like to call Saudi Arabia shape these days. So we shall see about that. Edge versus Stone Cold in Saudi Arabia. You heard it here first. That's all I'm saying. Listen, that on a more serious
Saudi
note,
Arabia shape.
on a more serious note, that is a shame, because it's a fantastic podcast. Those two are excellent value for money, and Edge is my favourite wrestler of all time as it happens.
It's weird, because if only you could think of like a wrestling podcasting network, regular stuff, a bit of financial clout to actually get somebody in who are maybe arguably a little bit imbalanced between people who were there for punditry responsibilities and people who are there for presenting responsibilities. Christian obviously being such a good host on that podcast, only there was a place he could go and naturally fit in.
Where it was hypothetically and actually and technically statistically higher up on a rankings chart than the Edge and Christian pod.
A step up, maybe.
Where are you going to find that?
Anyway, any suggestions in the comments below, let us know. I'm sure we'll try and think of something.
Wilbur might know somebody.
Wilbur likes this podcast. But yes, that is the news for today. We have, as we've said, got the Friday madness. We're going to wander into the rain, get you a little pint for your birthday. When is it? Tomorrow. Well, please do wish Adam Nicholas a happy birthday in the comments below, as well as your thoughts on the news stories themselves. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I have, of course, been Adam Cleary. Get me on Twitter at Adam Cleary, CLEOY, and yourself for all the birthday wishes.
At It's Adam Nicholas, and if you want to send wishes, well, that's up to you, I guess. But I'll take them. I will take them. I won't be sending you one back, though.
Oh, that's nice. Anyway, get the whole WhatCulture wrestling family at WhatCulture WWE. We'll be back on Monday with all the usual stuff in what is going to be, quite possibly, the biggest week of wrestling seen in a goddamn cow's age. But until then, this has been your #GoodAfterNews, and we will see you soon.
Yes, we will.
Pint.